By reaching Williams Lake in the previous episode, we have completed 2/3 of our Cariboo Road journey. However, instead of finishing the rest of the 1/3 right away, I decided to go further north from the terminus of the Cariboo Road. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Prince George, British Columbia.
So I just got into Prince George, BC. This is the gateway city in BC's central area. Many say it's the north. To me, it's just the central area. As a matter of fact, they say this is the most dangerous city in Canada.
Well, that was actually the case, but a while ago. Still, Prince George has a lot of problems today, and you can see some of them just by walking on the street in the downtown area. Guess where was the most dangerous Canadian city in 2019? To be honest, I didn't see it coming at all. It's Thompson, Manitoba.
Well, according to a poll, it's always one of the three. It's either Prince George, Thompson, Manitoba, or Winnipeg, Manitoba. And guess what? We have already been to the other two. So now I've been to all three of them. Anyways, we're gonna do a quick exploration of Prince George today.
Before that happened, I had lunch at a place where they made sushi and spring rolls into the same bento box. And the taste was just okay. Whatever. Here comes the actual exploration of the city. Compared to the other cities we visited during this Cariboo Road journey, the smog situation in Prince George was so much better. However, downtown Prince George appeared to have less people than some of the smaller towns we visited earlier, like Clinton. With more than 70,000 residents, Prince George is the largest city in central and northern British Columbia. I've spoken to many people in Vancouver prior to visiting Prince George and asked questions like, "Hey, what do you recommend on traveling to Prince George?" Well, 95% of the people told me they've never been to Prince George. And the other 5% told me that the city has absolutely nothing and I should not even go there. As an Adventure Channel YouTuber, you know that I really enjoy going to places that have absolutely nothing, because then I can show audiences like you that there is nothing out there, so you wouldn't waste your precious vacation time like I did. And now let's get back to the fundamental question. Does Prince George really have absolutely nothing to see?
Yeah, so the building behind me over there, that's a mid-rise that's completely built out of wood.
Yeah, you'll certainly notice these buildings around downtown Prince George. They showcase a more environmentally sustainable way to construct buildings, especially in terms of reducing carbon emissions produced from steel manufacturing. You also get to see some traditional methods, such as shosugiban, or charring the surface, to make the exterior less prone to water or mold damage, being applied to modern buildings. I noticed that the city of Prince George is planning to build more buildings like these in the future. I think then Prince George will be a much more interesting place to see.
Yeah, so far I have to say I'm really impressed about Prince George. First, the streets are really quiet, and that's not really a main reason, but the second reason I really like about the city is that the city is innovative.
As the major city in central northern British Columbia, Prince George is a major city for Indigenous communities in BC's north to obtain essential services. This, of course, also made the city a hub for trades, conferences, and art. It's also a business and exhibition hub for the natural resources industry in the province, such as logging, natural gas, and oil extracting. There is so much potential for Prince George to be the face of British Columbia's indigenous tourism, as places like the Cariboo Road, the Great Bear Rainforest, Haida Gwaii, and the vast yet less traveled northern British Columbia could all be relatively easier to reach from Prince George compared to Vancouver.
Yeah, if any of you is thinking about immigrating to Canada, especially coming to Prince George, make sure you check this place out.
It does seem like Prince George is located in the middle of nowhere. So how did this place become a hub city in BC's north? The answer is as simple as one word: the railway.
Yeah, so the building behind me, as you might recognize, that's the building of Via Rail. So that's basically where you take the train as a passenger. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can reach Prince George by train, but not from Vancouver. You can do it from Jasper or Edmonton, and it goes all the way to Prince Rupert. I'm pretty confident that if you ended up catching a train here, it will be something like 8 hours delay. Because we have already done some train travel in Sayu Rinpoche's adventure so far. If you haven't seen it, make sure to check it out. Check out our train trip in northern Manitoba.
Right next to the Fraser River, you'll see a railway crossing that straddles in between the two banks of the mighty river.
Yeah, so right now I am by the Fraser River, and behind me that's the railroad crossing in Prince George. And as you know, that Prince George is a major railway junction, so it's pretty much a railway town. And because of that, it became a regional center for northern BC. Well, Prince George is not even part of the Cariboo Road, but I just decided to visit here anyways because it's not really far from where the real Cariboo roads end. But so far I feel like Prince George is way more interesting than some of the places that appeared on the official tourist brochures about the Cariboo roads. And I guess that concludes our quick tour of Prince George, and then I'll see you at the real where was the destination for thousands upon thousands of people during that Fraser River gold rush.
As Canada started to get industrialized, railway became the new wagon road. Way faster, more impressive, and made British Columbia easier to govern for both Victoria and Ottawa. It also speeded up settler colonialism in previously less accessible regions, which paved ways for the cultural genocide of Indigenous people for the years ahead.
Yeah, here says, be bear aware. Well, I can tell you that the sad news is I don't have any bear spray with me right now.
We were back on the Cariboo Road, and we were also back in the wildfire smog. After quite some driving in the mountains, we had reached a point that there were no longer any cell phone signals. Now the whole journey feels like Yukon. Then, a village appeared, out of nowhere.
So I just got into Wells, BC. So this is a little town on the on Highway 26. But this is not the end destination of where we're going. Certainly this is not the terminus or the final destination for the historic Cariboo Road. So I'm just quickly stopping here. I'm gonna grab some dinner because it's already 7:30, and unfortunately the pub behind me is fully booked, so I have to order food for to go. I mean, the situation is so we're back to the smoky country, but on the way, interesting thing was that it started raining a little bit, so even though it's kind of smoky, it doesn't smell that really bad at all. And on the way to here, I saw my first moose in my life, so I had to quickly stop for the moose. I can tell the moose was panicking and and it ran away real quick, so never got a chance to shoot a video of that moose. But that's okay, Well, now I can finally tell people have seen moose now.
This rundown village was like one of those places coming out of an old movie. Stuff you see there will certainly remind you that this place was once a hot spot during the gold rush. Okay, let's get real. Most of the restaurants and bars shut down their doors for good, possibly as a result of both the global event of 2020 and the wildfire of 2021. Is Wells, British Columbia slowly turning into a ghost town? To be honest, I couldn't even use my cell phone there, so I do not know how I can reach the police or an ambulance. Sorry, landline what? That's so 20th century. Hello? Can anyone hear me? Eventually, after eating a rather ordinary hamburger by the dusty road, I reached the place where I'll be staying for the night. A campsite. Yeah, I'm gonna be sleeping in the style of old-timer Cariboo Road travelers.
Hey guys, it's me. So I'm at an undisclosed location. We're very close to the terminus and the end of the Cariboo Road. But I'm not gonna tell you where I am right now or where the terminus of the Cariboo Road is. I mean, if you have Wikipedia and everything, that means you probably already know. But for the rest of you who just don't bother, I'll definitely see you in the next video. Stay tuned.
Here is a hint. The end of the Cariboo Road is a town, but the last permanent resident left there around 60 years ago. For 60 years, the town has been pretty much empty every single night. That means this place could be haunted.